Oh, wait, this is the Young Turks. Whoops. What about that cabinet meeting? Oh, true. Wait, does anybody have a link to the full cabinet meeting? Insider exposes how Democrats secretly recruit donors. Oh, this is just going to be Anna agreeing with whatever unhinged, crazy, absolutely that Lindsay, is it Lindsay Liu? Says. Oh, Lindy Lee, sorry. 100%. Or I wonder if they even... Oh, did she bring her on?
My body does not respond well to,
Makes you extremely anxious. And I would just expect it to just take it without question. I tried to...
Oh my God, she's even on that anti-birth control binge that conservative women were on like a year and a half ago. Oh, I don't even know. Well, okay, hold on.
I'm so glad you asked me about...
Shut up! This is February 25th, so the episode probably aired on February 24th. She would have made the thumbnail, right? Why did this video get 1 million views? I feel like this debate was so boring. That's the most... God, I bring the excitement. I bring the excitement, okay? Was it this video this old?
Just over Elon.
Shut up. Oh, it was. Anti-birth control isn't a trend. Republicans have hated it forever. No. There was this new thing, like, I think a year or so ago, where Republicans started talking about how evil and crazy it was that women are destroying their bodies with birth control and the evil hormones are ruining them. Like, I saw like a resurgence of it. I know they've always been like anti-birth control, but I feel like there was like a resurgence of it lately but the focus was less now on women being sluts and abortion being evil, and now the focus is on like women's health. It's a women's health issue that they're forcing young girls to take birth control. I saw like a resurgence of that like a year ago. Ugh. Okay, here, I want to play this and then I'll be back. Tell me if I miss anything good. One sec, don't die.
Well, I'm looking at this panel, Piers, and it's it leans left, let's call it that way. And I'm up for the fight. As someone who I think speaks for a lot of MAGA folks, I recommend we just be very wary of the folks that are late to the game.
I know that I have a lot to
The pill is a serious thing. It's unbelievable how it's prescribed to every little girl that has some little issue. True, they should be prescribing ivermectin instead.
prove, but give me a chance to prove that. Don't shut the door.
Don't trust the tech bros. Elon Musk was an Obama supporter, comes around to Trump, and now all of a sudden he's your buddy. I would Google Rasputin.
Sweetheart, I have a house in Pennsylvania. I actually campaigned
Please
for
don't,
that.
if you're going to talk like that to me, please
Not
don't,
a
sweetheart.
MAGA rejects her. Sorry, Lindy. MAGA rejects her.
Take it from me that Vladimir Putin is not going to stop.
Donald Trump promised to end this war if you were elected, and he's doing everything he promised. This is a fantastic opportunity. Rubio's becoming a great statesman, a great diplomat in a very short period of time.
Donald Trump saying he's for peace is laughable at this point. I don't know what Donald Trump was in the past. It's the same Donald Trump, Piers. Now, last month said he wants to Canada, Greenland, Panama Canal, and Gaza.
That's not war.
What are they going to hand him to us?
President Trump's cyclonic start to his second term has sent ripples across the Atlantic and begun a massive reshaping of America's relationship with the rest of the world. As we speak, European leaders are holding emergency talks in Paris. Russian officials are meeting Marco Rubio in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, for war talks that so far do not include Ukraine. Zelensky says he knew nothing about the meeting and is awkwardly heading out to Riyadh on completely separate business. President Trump spoke to Putin last week and insists that the Russian dictator is ready to end the war.
Do you think he wants the whole of Ukraine, or just what do you think he wants?
No, I think he wants to stop. That was my question to him. Because if he's going to go on, that would have been a big problem for us. And that would have caused me a big problem, because you just can't let that happen. I think he wants to end it, and they want to end it fast. Both of them. And Zelensky wants to end it too.
Well, the US has been criticised for selling out Ukraine by dealing directly with Russia, by ruling out a full return to Ukraine's 2014 borders, and by saying that post-war peacekeeping forces must be provided by Europe and Europe alone. But here's the reality. There is no peace without Putin's say-so. Trump vowed to end this war, and he'll need both Ukraine and Russia to do it. This is what it takes to bring Putin to the table. This is, unfortunately, where the process must begin. At the heart of Trump's foreign policy posturing is a clear demand for Europe to take responsibility for Europe. Vice President Vance launched a stunning broadside against the EU in a big speech last week. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth read the riot act at NATO. The US alone currently pays for 16% of NATO's budget, and 25 of its members spend less than 2.5% of their GDP on defence. That cannot continue. And frankly, why should it continue? British Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer has already now pledged UK troops to a future peacekeeping mission in Ukraine, and others will surely have to follow. Back in DC, Trump is preparing to fight a slew of legal challenges over Elon Musk's cost-cutting Doge, and they're not backing down there either.
They will fail. It's the president's right to control the budget. And these are our tax dollars that have been squandered away, Martha. Look what happened at USAID. It's really remarkable that every American isn't outraged by what's happened at USAID. When we work our entire lives to pay taxes, and then you find out that $2 million is going to Guatemala for sex changes, that's not going to happen.
Well, like it or not, President Trump means business, and so far, it seems to be working. To debate all this, I'm joined by the host of the Dean Obeidallah Show on SiriusXM, Dean Obeidallah, Julie Roginski, the commentator and founder of Salty Politics, host of Bolling on YouTube and podcast platforms, Eric Bolling, and former Democratic National Committee fundraiser, Lindy Lee. Well, welcome, a stellar panel. I'm sure we'll all be extremely calm and civil to each other, won't we? Won't we, Eric?
Well, I'm looking at this panel, Piers, and it's it leans left, let's call it that way. And I'm up for the fight. Let's do it. Let's bring it on. I'm used to panels like this. Julie,
I think you'll find that Lindy has drunk the Conservative Kool-Aid since you last saw her.
Eric, I'm not sure if you remember, but just a few weeks ago, you retweeted an attack on me.
Oh, I like this start. Come on, what was that about?
Oh, no,
yeah, you did.
I'll tell you exactly what it was.
You
I said,
remember?
be very, very careful. Yes, of course I do. I remember. I said that I believe you could be a Trojan horse. I believe that someone who spent the better part of the last election supporting Biden and Kamala Harris all of a sudden sees the light after Donald Trump wins an election. I mean, you're not that much different from Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos and the rest of them. But I think we should all be careful. You're a busy guy,
Eric. So I don't blame you for not paying attention to my media appearances. But I've been criticizing Biden well before Election Day. I raised concerns, and that's why I think blowback from the Democratic Party.
I've been pretty much MAGA since the day one, and as someone who I think speaks for a lot of MAGA folks, I recommend we just be very wary of the folks that are late to the game. They're not welcome.
Hey,
You're welcome.
I know that I have a lot to prove, but give me a chance to prove that. Don't shut the door. I have a lot to offer, and you're not going to find a harder worker. I'm already working hard to make sure that we nail the midterms, because this is absolutely pivotal. We can't go back to the woke and the trans insanity. I am done with that.
I mean, it's an interesting thing, Eric, isn't it? Because, I mean, I if I were you, I would feel equally, not smug's not the right word, but equally like, hang on, I was there from the start supporting Trump and the MAGA movement. Now you've got all these people trotting down to Mar-a-Lago or making these huge conversions on the political Damascene conversion road. And, I think you're right to probably be a little bit sceptical. Not of Lindy, I've on a few times. I'm not saying for a moment, Lindy, you're not.
I'm a nice one, Eric. And I don't want anything.
So allow me, Lindy. Allow me. Let me ask you. So there are all these tech bros, as I mentioned, Jeff Bezos, even Elon Musk came over. Mark Zuckerberg and the others that came, and then this HB1 visa issue came up, and all of a sudden the tech bros departed from their support of conservative, support of MAGA, and certainly support of Trump's original stakeout on it. And so my point is, well, be careful, because they're saying, they're spending a lot of money at Trump's inauguration, and Melania's got a $40 million epic deal with Amazon. That's great, but just be careful, because you flip this way, I could see you flipping back the other way.
Eric, can I just say, I agree with Eric.
You're stuck with me.
You're
stuck with me. I'm a conservative now. I've crossed my river Rubicon.
Don't trust them. Eric's right. Don't trust them, Eric. Eric is absolutely right. I don't know Eric before. Don't trust the tech bros. Elon Musk was an Obama supporter, comes around to Trump, and now all of a sudden he's your buddy. I would Google Rasputin. I think that's how it ends up for Elon Musk, because the noblemen around the king, Donald Trump, for decades, don't like this guy, show him up out of nowhere. So I think Eric's right to be a little questioning of them. That's all I'm going to say. But nothing about Lindy. She's very nice. I'm just saying question some of the other ones. They have an agenda, which is about tax cuts for the wealthy. That's what they're about.
Dean, I want to just express my love for you. I've always had a soft spot for you. And although we may not be politically aligned, I've read your stuff. You are very sassy, and your attacks on Fetterman, I mean, I may not agree with it, but I respect it. You are fearless in that regard.
Thank you. And I was
Back to
called
you,
sassy
Aaron.
today. Piers, this is a big day for me. I've never been called sassy in my life. So this is very big. I'm going to say
That's what you are.
Piers Morgan Uncensored is now proudly independent. If you like the show, we ask for only one thing. Subscribe on YouTube and follow Piers Morgan Uncensored on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Now let's get straight to the point. Support for today's show comes from a business focused on a critical issue: prosperity. US national debt is at crisis levels. Inflation has made life more expensive for everybody, and the stock market is precarious. It's enough to make anyone's financial future feel grim. So what is the solution? Well, a simple one is to opt out of the chaos and invest in something solid and reliable: physical gold and silver. And there's only one name you need to remember: American Hartford Gold. This company has earned the trust of thousands of customers with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and glowing reviews you can see for yourself. They offer an incredible range of gold and silver bars and coins. They can be delivered directly to your door, or they'll help you set them up in a tax-advantaged gold IRA. First-class customer service makes the whole process simple, secure, and straightforward. American Hartford Gold is committed to getting the truth out there and giving you peace of mind in uncertain times. And if that wasn't enough, you'll get up to $15,000 worth of free silver when you make your first purchase and mention my name, Piers. So make the smart move. Call 866-692-2474 or text Piers, that's P-I-E-R-S, to 65532. That's 866-692-2474 or text Piers to 65532. All the details are in the description. Now on with the show. Well, can I just say, this is one of the more random starts to a debate I think I've ever had. You've all gone off on your own little tangents. There's some love in the room. There's some flip-flopping in the room. The only one who's remained resolutely silent is Julie. So why don't I start the actual debate with you, Julie?
It's good to see you again. It's been like 10 years.
Julie, unless you want to settle any scores while you're there or bestow undying love to somebody, then we can move on.
I'm happy to bestow undying gratitude to Eric Bolling, who I used to sit next to on The Five and other shows at Fox for a long time, and I can tell you he was MAGA from the very beginning. He stuck by it through thick and thin. When Trump was in, when Trump was out, Eric, you were always MAGA. And I would say I would be a little suspicious of people who would have been with Kamala Harris had she won the election, but suddenly, as soon as somebody else comes into power, they suddenly flip and decide they're going to support Donald Trump. So I do agree, Eric. Say what you will about you. You and I don't agree on anything, but you were misguided about MAGA from the very beginning, and you stuck by it. And I'm very suspicious. I am very suspicious of people who suddenly flit to power like moth to a flame, because I'm positive, Lindy, that if Kamala Harris had won, you would be here defending her to the hilt.
Julie, there are some things that I did not know before Election Day. Wait a minute. For example, we had no idea that they lied to us about the 3 to 4 battleground states that we were supposed to win. That's what they told us, to get us to go out there and ask for friends. Don't be skeptical. That's what they told us. That's what
But Lindy, Lindy, hang on. That's an interesting question, though, isn't it? If Kamala Harris had won, and everyone thought, according to the polls, it was all going to be so close. I didn't. I went on Fox 10 days before and said Trump's going to win big. So I'm taking the Eric Bolling victory lap on that. However, if Kamala Harris had won big, be honest, would you now be out here as a big convert to all things Trump, or do you think you may have gone for the ride with Kamala? Because that's really what Eric is getting at, which is how strong is your actual conviction?
Piers, remember the first time I was here, I've been on here 3 times. The first time I was here, I was a solid Democrat. I was trying to reform things from within, right?
Yeah.
By that time, I was still very much within the family. In December, remember that interview, our segment went viral.
Yeah,
why? Because I laid out what happened to me. I've been called a cunt and a whore. I'm just going to say it right now. Cunt, whore, bitch, whatever, Chinese spy, for asking questions about what happened to the money that I raised, for asking why we doubled down on the woke.
No, but I'm not questioning. Just to be clear, I'm not questioning anything that you said, or that wasn't repellent the way you were treated, or any of those things. But that was all post the results. And
what I mean is, I tried to stay until I couldn't.
No, I get it. But that was more to do with you saying you wasted all this money and them abusing you and so on. That's a kind of different issue. The question, which is quite a valid one, And it kind of, you know, Eric started this and Julie's kind of cemented the questioning, if you like, which is, and that's two people from opposing sides, both equally skeptical. If you're honest, if Kamala Harris had won, would you now be on a show like this as a diehard pro-Trumper? Or is it more likely if the Democrats had won, you'd have tried to help reform them and move forward from within, but from a winning position?
Well, what I mean is, Piers, I tried to reform them. I've been here in December, I was still a Democrat. I was explaining why I couldn't be a Democrat anymore. The egregious treatment.
I get that, but you're slightly avoiding the question, which I do think is a valid question.
I'm trying to answer it. Sorry.
Well, you've been accused of being a Trojan horse by Eric, but Julie has rightly pointed out from the other side, well, hang on, if our side had won, right, where would you be now? Because ideologically, it's a massive, massive move to go from somebody who supports Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to somebody who supports Donald Trump.
I've always been on the conservative wing of the party, and there's a paper trail. 5 years ago, I went to war with the Bernie Bros. That's how I emerged on the public scene. That's how I got my start. I, as a conservative, refused to vote for Bernie Sanders because he went against everything I believed in.
I think the question, Lindy, I'm going to ask one more time. But the question really is, would you have been identifying as a conservative if Kamala Harris...
That's what I mean. 5 years ago, I was already identifying as a conservative and attacking Bernie Sanders.
No, that's not my question. My question was, if Kamala had won, would you now be appearing on this panel as a conservative or as a Democrat?
I would be appearing, if not as a conservative Republican, I would be appearing as a conservative Democrat, as I've always been. I have tons of Fox News articles over the years identifying myself as a conservative Democrat. Come on, I've had this around my neck for 15 years, okay? Faith is a very important thing.
Look, call me old-fashioned, but what is a conservative Democrat? I mean, aren't you either one or the other?
I'm sorry?
Well, aren't you either a conservative or a Democrat?
When I first became
I wasn't aware
a
of this
Democrat,
weird hybrid where you could be both.
Well, I'm from suburban Pennsylvania. When I first became a Democrat, it was actually pre-Obama. We believed in middle-class values, fiscal responsibility, like moderation. We didn't think that biological men should be in women's sports. That's a fairly recent development, I think. Like in the past 5 years, I'm not in favor of that. I think that's absolutely just lunacy. These are recent developments. The woke and the trans insanity, the DEI stuff, I didn't sign up for that. I just didn't. And I was terrified of vocalizing my opposition.
Piers Morgan Uncensored is proudly independent. Our sponsors help us to bring it to you for free. Support for the show today comes from ExpressVPN, which I'm especially happy about because I use it myself. We're all living more and more of our lives online, but despite private tabs and incognito mode, your internet service provider can still see and record everything you do or say online. What they can do with your data depends on where you live. In the USA, your data can be bought and sold to whoever will pay for it. But you can stop all that with ExpressVPN. It's an easy app that reroutes 100% of your online traffic through secure encrypted servers so that not even your internet service provider can see what you do online. It secures all of your most sensitive information anywhere you connect. I travel all the time, and like many people, often use the garbage public Wi-Fi to check the news and continue my arguments on X. Not only is it slow, it's also one of the easiest ways for hackers to get my data. With ExpressVPN's encrypted connection, the hackers can't hijack my connection or steal my information. ExpressVPN is the #1 rated VPN by CNET, PC World, and The Verge. It also works on 8 devices at the same time, so you can secure your whole family in one go. I'm living proof that it's very easy to use. And right now, you can get an extra 4 months of ExpressVPN for free. Find out how by scanning the QR code on screen here, or go to expressvpn.com/Piers. Once more for the people at the back, scan the QR code or go to expressvpn.com/Piers. That's Piers. Now, on with the show. So out of interest, who did you vote for in the election?
In 2024?
Yeah.
I voted for one person. I actually ignored everybody else on the ballot.
Well, who did you vote for?
Because I couldn't bring myself to vote for the Democrats. I was so disgusted.
So you voted Trump?
Can I plead the fifth?
No.
I will just say that. Let me just say one thing. I was so disgusted with the Democratic.
Come on,
what did you say?
Who did you vote for?
I will say that I voted for one person on the ballot.
Yeah, who?
Because I was so disgusted with the Democrats, I couldn't vote for.
I hate you, but who? Who did you
any of
vote
them.
for?
Do I have to answer?
Yes. It's uncensored. Come on, spit it out.
See, I can't win with this because I raised.
You could be
money for the
honest. I mean,
Democrats.
if you're honest, you win, right? I mean, that's.
Well, no, well, people, well, my donors and all the Democrats will accuse me of sabotage if I.
Come on, Lindy. Who did you vote for?
I voted for Bob Casey. I didn't vote for president. I just couldn't because
here's
I'm
the
just
thing,
so
though,
disgusted.
Lindy,
Well, let's get
So,
a
Lindy,
reaction.
I'm
All
so
right.
disgusted by the Democratic Party that I couldn't bring
you
myself
voted
to
for,
vote for any of them.
You voted for, just stop speaking for a second. You voted for Bob Casey, who is a member of the Democratic Party, which is the party that
Who's
you
one of the most
claim
conservative
supports
members who's
DEI.
pro-life, famously pro-life.
I know exactly, sweetheart. I have a house in Pennsylvania. I actually campaigned
Please
for Bob
don't,
Casey.
if you're
I
going to
wanted
talk
to
like that to
for
me,
him.
please
Or not
don't
a fundraiser.
sweetheart me
So,
very much.
So I'm not, listen to me because you have to stop speaking for a second. Let me be very clear with you. You were out there until the very last second positioning yourself as a surrogate for Kamala Harris, despite the woke stuff that you now disdain, despite the fact that you think that Democrats stand for only trans issues and nothing else that apparently you campaigned on all these years for Democrats, first for Biden, then for Harris. So the bottom line is, everything that you now disavow, you tried your very best and tried very, very hard to get in front of every TV camera that would take you to campaign for Kamala Harris, who you now claim supported trans and DEI issues that you think are completely misguided. So the bottom line is, everything that you're saying now about how you're going to help MAGA means that you threw out every value that you stood for. Because you can't be, Eric Bolling and I have known each other a long time.
There are some things, there are values that I hold today that are contrary to the Republican Party.
We don't agree. Let me finish speaking. I was very quiet when you spoke. Let me finish speaking. Eric and I don't agree on much.
Interrupted me.
Eric and I don't agree on much. We have completely diametrically opposed views. So if I suddenly said to Eric today, Eric, I am going to campaign for MAGA, and everything that you've been saying for the last 15, 20 years that I've known you, Eric Bolling, you have been right on everything. Eric would rightly say, Julie, you sat next to me on TV show after TV show and we argued. I know where your heart has been. What has changed? And if I said to Eric, you know what? People went on social media and called me the C word and called me the B word. You know what Eric would do? And Eric, I don't want to speak for you. I think you'd laugh at me. Because you'd say, are you really throwing away every single thing that you stood for because some randos were mean to you on Twitter? And that's exactly what you're saying you did, Lindy.
Absolutely
that's the problem
not.
that people have with you.
Hold on. You
that's
don't know anything about me. We haven't spoken in 10 years. So you don't even know the values that I hold. I still very much believe that
I've been following you very hard.
Issue. Can I finish? You asked me to finish, right? So I'm going to finish now. There are issues that I hold dear to my heart. And the environment is the top one. I also believe that gun violence is a serious issue in our country. Those things will never change. And I hold these issues just because I'm now supporting the Republicans doesn't mean that I somehow relinquish these values. But I have been slowly shifting to the right. Personally, there are things that have happened in my life. There are people that I've met. I don't want to talk about it. But I've been...
Okay, I tried to leave my speakers on, but I was not paying attention. I heard slowly shifted to the right on the last one. Honey, fucking chill. Has she said anything super crazy yet or no?
Shifting right-related issues. But I have been slowly now finished now. There are issues that that are very...
Please watch when she couldn't answer Piers' question for 2 minutes of silence.
So out of interest, who did you vote for in the election?
In 2024?
Yeah.
I voted for one person. I actually ignored everybody
I think we watched a clip of this, or maybe part of this. But...
else on the ballot.
Well, who did you vote for?
Because I couldn't bring myself to vote for the Democrats. I was so disgusted.
So you voted Trump?
Can I plead the fifth?
No.
why would you, if you don't want to say who you voted for, that's fine. But why would you try to pull that after saying who you didn't vote for? Like, if somebody's like, oh, the secret of the vote is my thing and I shouldn't have to say that, fine. But if you're going to say who you didn't vote for.
I will just say that. Let me just say one thing. I was so disgusted with the Democratic.
Come on,
what did you say?
Who did you vote for?
I will say that I voted for one person on the ballot.
Yeah, who?
Because I was so disgusted with the Democrats, I couldn't vote for.
I hate you, but who did you vote for?
Have we heard her say Jill Stein before? Because I feel like the answer is Jill Stein. But if I've already heard her say it, then obviously. She wants attention?
Yes.
True.
It's uncensored. Come on, spit it out.
See, I can't win with this because I raised
You could be
money for the
honest. I mean,
Democrats.
if you're honest, you win, right? I mean, that's...
Like, what do you mean you can't win with this? Like, what does it say about your politics if you're so fucking ashamed to just say who you voted for? Like, I don't understand. Why not just say it? What?
Well, no, well, my donors and all the Democrats will accuse me of sabotage if I...
Come on, Lindy.
What?
Who did you vote for?
Hold on. Let me just check real quick. This is 11 days ago. Okay, February 17th was before, or was it after the election? No, this is after the election, right? 11 days ago was after the election. Who is she sabotaging? What are you talking about?
I voted for Bob Casey. I didn't vote for president.
What? That's like the dumbest answer you could give. She just didn't vote for anybody? What?
I just couldn't because I'm just so disgusted.
Well, let's get a reaction.
I'm so disgusted by the Democratic Party that I couldn't bring myself to vote for any of them.
Just stop speaking for a second. You voted for Bob Casey, who is a member of the Democratic Party, which is the party that
who's one of the most conservative members, who's pro-life, famously pro-life.
I know exactly, sweetheart. I have a house in Pennsylvania. I actually campaigned for Bob Casey.
If you're going to talk like that to me, please don't sweetheart me. Very much.
So I'm not, listen to me because you have to stop speaking for a second. Let me be very clear with you. You were out there until the very last second positioning yourself as a surrogate for Kamala Harris, despite the woke stuff that you now disdain, despite the fact that you...
Yeah, it's because she lost and now she wants to grift on the other side, right? That's where we're going with this, right?
think that Democrats stand for only trans issues and nothing else that apparently you campaigned on all these years for Democrats, first for Biden, then for Harris. So the bottom line is, everything that you now disavow, you tried your very best and tried very, very hard to get in front of every TV camera that would take you to campaign for Kamala Harris, who you now claim supported trans and DEI issues that you think are completely misguided. So the bottom line is, everything that you're saying now about how you're going to help MAGA means that you threw out every value that you stood for. Because you can't be...
Wait, who is this? This lady on the left, she must not be in the media. What does she do? Because, wow, what an honest line of dialogue from her. Yes, you literally threw out every single thing you believed in because of trans issues? Host of Boiling on YouTube. In podcast. Is it Julie Rodzinski? Is that who this is? Or can we split VOD? I think I can. If I click stop recording and start again, we'll see what happens. Good luck.
Eric Bolling and I have known each other a long time.
We
don't agree. Let me finish speaking. I was very quiet when you spoke. Let me finish speaking. Eric and I don't agree on much. Eric and I don't agree on much. We have completely diametrically opposed views. So if I suddenly said to Eric today, Eric, I am going to campaign for MAGA, and everything that you've been saying for the last 15, 20 years that I've known you, Eric Bolling, you have been right on everything. Eric would rightly say, Julie, you sat next to me on TV show after TV show and we argued. I know where your heart has been. What has changed? And if I said to Eric, you know what? People went on social media and called me the C word and called me the B word. You know what Eric would do? And Eric, I don't want to speak for you. I think you'd laugh at me.
Yep.
Because you'd say, are you really throwing away every single thing?
Thank you. Yes. Now I see why Anna loves this girl so much and why she probably brought her on and glazed her up. It's because this defines Anna's entire political belief system. Who was mean to me last on Twitter, I'm going to believe the exact opposite of what they believe in.
That you stood for because some randos were mean to you on Twitter. And that's exactly what you're saying you did, Lindy.
Absolutely
that's the problem
not.
that people have with you.
Hold on. You
that's
don't know anything about me. We haven't spoken in 10 years, so you don't even know the values that I hold. I still very much believe that
I've been following you very hard.
Issue. Can I finish? You asked me to finish, right? So I'm going to finish now. There are issues that I hold dear to my heart. And the environment is the top one. I also believe that gun violence is a serious issue in our country. Those things will never change.
And then also, yeah, people wanted to point out that Lindsay literally tweeted out that she'd voted for Kamala, I believe. We saw this already, though. I already voted for @Kamala Harris in Pennsylvania. Philly said they received my ballot. What are y'all doing to elect our beloved VP Harris? Tell me in the comments. I wonder do they bring that up in this?
Well, these issues, just because I'm now supporting the Republicans doesn't mean that I somehow relinquish these values. But I have been slowly shifting to the right. Personally, there are things that have happened in my life. There are people that I've met. I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, my God.
But I've been shifting rightwardly. Frankly, it's none of your business. I don't owe you an accounting of.
It's none of your business. My job used to be a Democratic strategist, and now I'm here on a show discussing politics. But it's none of your business what my individual political beliefs are? What? Hello? What are we talking about here?
Why I turn rightward.
Lindy, your shift happened after the election.
But nobody believes you.
You've been shifting all recently, but you weren't shifting when you were a surrogate for both, the Democrat Party and then Kamala Harris. Where were you saying?
What I've been telling you is that there's a paper trail.
The right to the right to life. Where was that 4 weeks ago?
Wait, I haven't said anything about the right to life. I haven't said anything. Wait, hold on.
I believe you just said pro-life. Did you just say you're pro-life? I pretty much.
What about the environment? What about the environment?
No, I didn't say it was pro-life. I said Bob Casey's pro-life. I didn't say anything about abortion today.
Lindy, are you pushing the GOP?
Lindy, drill, baby, drill.
Let me ask Dean. Look, Dean, I wasn't expecting this debate.
That you guys are also
this is actually a very interesting debate because this is going on.
You're literally on a political show to discuss politics. How is it crazy that people might want to know who you voted for when you work for the Democratic Party? This is such a stupid fucking diversion. Like, oh, you have no right to know. What? Hello?
There are lots of people who are migrating. Whether it's Mark Zuckerberg, a bit like that, or Lindy, whatever. It's a very interesting debate about the validity of their conversion. So, Dean, what do you make of this from everything you've heard so far?
Look, Lindy's made her choice. And if she's going to be consistent with her values in the GOP and try to change the GOP to be consistent with her views on saving lives from gun violence, on addressing climate change, well, that would be a good move within the GOP. The GOP needs that. I'm not here to attack Lindy. That's her choice. Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos are billionaires with power. They did this for a business decision. They didn't make donations. They made investments in Donald Trump's campaign, and they expect to be rewarded. Elon Musk with more contracts, with tax cuts for the wealthy, the billionaires class, and less regulations, and allowing more mergers so they can make even more money because you're upset with Biden because his FTC and DOJ slow down mergers of big corporations or anti-consumer pro-bottom line. So I have a different view. Lindy's one person. She made her choice. She's got to answer for herself. If she's truthful, MAGA will embrace her. If not, they'll reject her. They're not dummies. I don't believe what some people say on the left about MAGA. They're not dumb. They're smart. They're dangerous, but they're smart. To me, my biggest concern is those with big power. Yes.
MAGA rejects her. Sorry, Lindy. MAGA rejects you. And frankly, MAGA rejects Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, and the rest of the people who decided that there's a more fruitful path towards Mar-a-Lago in the White House now than it was 4 weeks ago.
You are not the gatekeeper of MAGA. No one appointed you like St. Peter by the pearly gates. That's not up to you. You know who it's up to? It's up to American people. And I have gotten thousands of letters, thousands of messages.
Wait, so is she like proudly? She's not even just like more conservative. She's full MAGA? You're not the gatekeeper of MAGA. They like me. Oh my God. Ooh.
On a daily basis, and I read as much as I can. I have never seen so much kindness, barring these like far-right lunatics. Eric, you're not one of them. I actually happen to like you outside of this. The amount of love and welcome that I've gotten from conservative Republicans is so incredible. So incredible.
Lindy, I would have so much more respect for you if you would just say, look, I've been a lifelong Democrat. I've supported the Democrats. I've worked with the Democrats. I've raised money for Democrats, including Kamala Harris. And you know what? I'm not all of a sudden changed and see the light that Donald Trump is the savior.
What I mean is,
but you flipped so dramatically in such a short period of time. Give it a breath. Give it a breath. You're on everywhere that will host. Julie's right. Everywhere that will host you, you'll go on CNN, MSNBC, Fox. You're all over Fox saying what a great, pro-Trump Trump MAGA personality you are right now because you're getting booked all over the place. Give it a minute. Prove yourself.
I never
first.
want
I
that
want you to prove
MAGA,
yourself
to be honest.
first.
I've never even used that word, so I don't know why.
Well, Trump is MAGA. Let's be honest. Trump is MAGA. Period. Full stop.
Most of my hits have been my criticisms of Democrats, to be honest. I don't think I've ever been on one.
You're going to get booked because you're the Democrat who's criticizing other Democrats. It's very bookable, very clickable, in fact. But as someone on the inside of the movement,
and I happen to have a lot to say. I have donors who are terrified of speaking out. I have a duty of care to say what the heck went wrong with the campaign because it was a fucking disaster. It was a disaster.
That's different. Now that is commendable. Now there's a Democrat saying we screwed up. We need to find out what we did wrong, come back stronger, and beat them. That would be admirable.
I think Lindy, hang on, Lindy. I think the point Eric is making, which is a strong one and a valid one, I think, which is you could have done all this criticism of the Democrats whilst remaining a Democrat. Somebody who voted. Hang on. Somebody who voted for a Democrat literally just a few months ago, right? But instead, what you want people like Eric to believe is that somehow you've been really going more and more right wing for years, and actually now you're a full-on Trumper, and he's saying, well, hang on a second. Why did you vote the way you did only in November?
I think I'm a full-on conservative. I'm finally free to be who I am. That I don't have to be ashamed of it because I live in Philadelphia. It's a stigma to be a Republican here.
Yeah, but none of the panel. With respect, though, but Lindy, when you have both Julie and you have Eric both just not buying this at all, you've got a bit of a PR problem, haven't you?
I don't need these two lovely individuals to buy anything. I'm comfortable with myself. I know who I am. I know that I'm a conservative, and I've been a conservative, and I've been ashamed of being conservative. There are things like you could go look at my old tweets. There have been issues that I've just never.
I'm really sorry. Look, I'm really struggling. If you've always been a conservative, why did you keep voting Democrat? I don't get it.
Let's think about it. I'm not just a Democrat. I'm somebody who ran for Congress as a 24-year-old as a Democrat. And again,
I know.
twice.
So my question is, why did you keep running campaigning?
For me to leave.
But why did you keep running campaigning? Lindy, with all respect, why did you keep running, campaigning, and voting as a Democrat if you've always been
in the city of Philadelphia, it's a 1 to 8 registration breakdown. For every one Republican, there are 8 Democrats.
So you were grifting. So it was all a grift. That's what she's saying, right? There just weren't enough people for me, but now that there are more people on this, I'm going to change my political party. That's just like openly, literally admitting to grifting, right? Like that's what we're saying.
That is how much of a landslide it is here. And I grew up in the age of Obama. Like the year that I went to college was 2008, the first year that Obama was elected. I was 17 years old and so captivated by this man promising hope and change. I bought into it, despite the fact that my family had reservations because my parents were very conservative.
You understand the concern. Like if I began all of a sudden starting Muslims for MAGA, I'm Muslim. Dino Vidal begins Muslim for MAGA. Love me, MAGA. I'm now your friend. They'd be like, you're the jackass that used to trash us on social media on MSNBC. And I'd be like, yeah, I am. But I'm now Muslims for MAGA. Why? I got a book deal. I got a TV deal. I'm not saying that's what you're getting, but that's what we see, right? I don't attack you. Like you make your choice. You have to live with yourself at the end of the day. It's between you and yourself. For me, it's the big billionaires who are going to get more money at our expense that really upset me. But you can see the hesitation, and you saw it online, Lindy. There are people, Democrats who are not crack posters like you call them, who are really like stunned by what you've done. And this transition from a big cheerleader on our side to now attacking us nonstop on the other side. Again, you have to live with that. But I think Piers has done a good job. We probably should have put legal counsel here, Lindy, for this. I could object to the. I'm a lawyer. I could object if you want. Wink at me, and I'll say objection. But honestly, I think it's a problem for either side to believe you right now. That's the reality. That's the truth. I'm not being mean.
Thank you for being respectful, by the way. Thank you for not being acerbic. Can I please finish, Julie Virginsky? I don't know. But
Go ahead, Lindy Lee.
In terms of Republicans, if you're going to pile on anyone who's willing to help you win the midterms, willing to do what they can, willing to hear you out and learn more about where you're coming from, no one's going to come over.
But why should Lindy, again, with the optics of this, why should the Democrats listen to someone who says, I've been a secret conservative the whole time?
True.
I'm done with them. They don't need to listen to me. I don't need them.
No, but why should they take any advice from you?
Why would the Republicans listen to you? Oh, my God.
Anyway, since you've now admitted you've always been a secret Republican, you just happen to...
I spent how many months trying to give them advice? November, December, they didn't hear a thing. The DNC chair...
2 months.
In response to my criticisms, attacked me, saying that...
When did you attack Kamala Harris before the election?
I raised concerns about her internally.
No, publicly, when did you attack Biden or Kamala before the election?
On July 21st on Fox News Sunday. Was
not after Biden had gone, but while he was still the president.
That was before he was gone.
While he was still the leader of the party. While he was still the nominee. Did you attack Biden while he was still nominee?
Yes.
When?
And consistently.
When?
Throughout the month of July, at the tail
when he was nominee, not after he stood down.
Yes, exactly. I urged him to step aside.
Yeah, but that was after the debate and everything blew up. I'm talking about before that, when everybody knew that this was a massive lie being perpetrated on the American people. That Joe Biden, I wrote columns for 2 years for the New York Post saying this guy is not fit to be president. He's not mentally or physically fit for the job. And then I kept hearing the Democrats collectively telling me, no, he's never been sharper. Throwing huge fundraisers. This guy's on top of his game. He's great. He's killing it. And then we saw the debate that the whole thing had been a total lie and he had to go. And then Kamala Harris is coronated for some bizarre reason. And that turns out to be an even bigger disaster. Well, hang on. My point is that in your conversion, you're now saying that even though you voted Democrat in the election, the entire time you've been a closet conservative. And I think that both Eric and Julie are right to raise a very skeptical eyebrow about what that means.
I'm not, with all due respect, I'm not beholden to these wonderful people. I'm comfortable with myself. This is just who I am.
But what are you, Lindy? But Lindy, what are you really? I mean, be honest.
I'm a conservative. I'm not really.
But since when? You voted Democrat on November the 5th.
For an extremely conservative Democrat, Bob Casey. Do you know him? He's one of the most conservative. Well, he was.
He's a Democrat.
Bob Casey was known as a moderate center-right candidate. He and his family have been there for decades.
Why not just vote for the Republican?
You had a more conservative option, though, Lindy.
Yeah,
you had a
just
more
vote for the
conservative option,
Republican.
though, Lindy, and you chose not to exercise it, right?
Yes.
You could have voted for the Republican. But to get back to what you said,
who made a fortune working with China? I don't think so. I don't think so. And I know Bob Casey.
So to get back to what you were,
Julie.
Okay, so to get back to what you were saying, you were not the only Democrat who was criticizing the party. I criticized the party in a clip that actually went viral. And Eric has known me a long time. I've never been shy. I'm sorry, you're the only person from the campaign who, after the campaign, criticized the campaign. Is that what you're saying? Because I could probably provide about 20 names as soon as we get off the air. The same thing. The second thing I would say, the second thing that yes, half the people that worked in the campaign. The second thing that I would say is that you have to, but Lindy, here's the problem. You were not at the top level. I'm sorry to say, you were a donor. Get over yourself. You were not sitting in the room making. You are congratulations. You're the National Finance Committee because you raised a few bucks.
You honestly refuse to take any accountability for what went wrong. To this day, we have not received a careful accounting of how they set $2.5 billion on fire. Don't even get. I mean, come on.
And let me tell you something. And let me tell. Okay, Lindy, you gave money. Lindy, you gave money. You weren't happy about how it was spent. I gave money. I wasn't happy about how it was spent. Nevertheless, here's the difference between you and me. You pointed out two issues that you said that you care about. Gun safety is one, and climate is the other. If those are the two issues and the hill that you're choosing to die on, how in the world are you supporting somebody who talks about drill baby drill all day long and talks about the fact that they want unfettered gun access for anybody who wants it, right? Now you're saying you're going to elect MAGA candidates to further the MAGA agenda. That MAGA agenda is completely contrary to the two issues that you said today that you still care about. So forgive Eric Bolling for being a little skeptical.
I did not mention the things that I care
it.
about from the conservative side that far outweigh the two that I mentioned. I agree with conservatives on everything else. I think what happened on the borders is an absolute sin.
Oh my
I think
God.
Biden's betrayal on the borders
why did you campaign for Kamala Harris?
And unforgivable. As a naturalized citizen myself,
why did you campaign for Kamala Harris?
Is absolutely horrendous. The fact that he let millions of immigrants in.
Then why should she campaign? Is she going to answer that, or she's not going to answer that?
We should not have just let.
Why did you raise money
on the border when my family, like people like naturalized immigrants like myself, we follow the rules. We didn't, jump the line. We created hundreds of American jobs over the years. This is how immigration should be done. We shouldn't just offer asylum to any foreigner that wants it. I feel very, very strongly about this.
So why were you in the campaign for Kamala Harris? Why did you? I mean, everything you're saying now is apparent to people who on the other side who agree with you back before the election. So why in the world you just proudly touted yourself as somebody on the inside of the campaign? Why would you get on the inside of the Harris campaign?
But you interrupted me earlier. Yes, you did, and you keep doing it. All right. May I speak?
Yeah.
All right. When I first became a Democrat, it was in the age of Obama. Okay, so there you go again. I was 2 seconds in, and you're interrupting me already.
Let her speak.
May I finish?
No, she is speaking. Oh my God. She just doesn't want to say because she knows whatever answer she's about to give is bullshit. Also, there's a delay on these shows. There's probably like a 3 or 4 second delay. So sometimes it happens, but she knows this. But like anytime somebody's like, let me speak. And they're not like actually saying, then say it. Jesus.
So there you go again. I was 2 seconds in and you're interrupting me already. May I finish? All right, let's start again. So when I first became a Democrat, it was in the age of Obama. I was captivated by him, absolutely obsessed. And that was during my most formative age. Okay. And then shortly thereafter, I was running for Congress. I was 24 years old. I didn't know a different world. It wasn't conceivable for me to be a Republican. Princeton was extremely liberal. I mean, everyone knows that Philadelphia is extremely liberal. Being a Republican.
She has no answer. She's not going to answer the question because she has none, because it's absolute fucking bullshit. It's the most bullshit ever. That's why she's not answering this question. 100%. And she won't have an answer to this question. Like, the question wasn't when you were running for Congress or when you liked Obama or whatever. The question was, you knew all of these positions on the border. Why do you vote for the conservatives now? Like, none of this is a new revealed thing that we just found out that, conservatives were mad about the border or whatever. Why did you change now? She's not going to answer that because she has no answer to that question. It's a grift.
Got to do with what happened in the last year when you're much older. I don't get it. What is your obsession with Barack Obama?
Exactly. Yeah.
All that time ago. It was 2008.
Oh, now he asked the golden question. And this is like one of the favorite talking points. I think this is a Russian printed one. I think this is a Russian printed talking point. It's the old, I was so enamored by Barack Obama and I couldn't believe how actually horrible of a president he turned out to be. And it's so sad. And I feel like I got tricked and betrayed by how cool Obama was. And it wasn't what I thought, blah, blah, blah. This is a 100% Russian talking point.
Barack Obama ran.
But I'm explaining why. Well, the question is why I was a Democrat in the first place, right?
No, nobody asked that. No, that wasn't the question. Nobody asked that. They asked, why did you vote for Kamala, knowing all these things about the border, and then suddenly changing states because of the border? What?
It really makes sense, I don't think, to the left or the right. You're now strongly a conservative. Anyway, look, Eric, final word on this to you before we change back to the actual debate.
Yes, that wasn't the question when you became a Democrat. You're allowed to change your mind. My concern, my suspicion is that you found it a much more lucrative path to become a MAGA Republican after Donald Trump. But not a single word about DEI, about wokeism, cancel culture, none of the things that pissed off every single MAGA person for the past 4 years did you open your mouth about until after the election.
There you go.
Google me. I'm begging you to read my Wikipedia page. I am all about cancel culture and just the perils of it. That was actually one of my things. Eric,
And so you were okay with Kamala Harris's position on cancel culture, woke DEI, pro DEI? You were
Absolutely not okay with it. I felt like we had no choice but to support her because in this party, in the party of woke, you can't skip a black woman. You know, that's the truth. We had a lot
So you were so, hang on, just to be clear, you were so against wokeism and DEI and everything else that you felt compelled to vote for a woman who happened to be a woman of
I
color.
didn't vote for her. I just told you I didn't.
Well, you voted for a Democrat.
You felt compelled to raise money for her. Why would you raise money for her? Nobody put a gun to your head, Lindy, and told you that you had to be on the inside of the campaign that you now tout being on the inside of. Nobody told you to be a fundraiser in the National Finance Chair, whatever you said. You could have not done any of it.
This is my world. You have to understand. This is my life. All my friends are Democrats. I just left all my friends behind. This is not easy. I just left this church.
Lindy, let me ask you, are you making a ton of money out of this?
Yep.
Absolutely not. I haven't made a single dime. I'm a donor. I haven't made a single dime.
So when you appear on TV, you don't get a fee or anything?
What'd you say?
When you appear on television, you don't get a fee or anything?
Do you want to pay me today, though?
No, absolutely not. But have you got a book deal? Have you got a book deal about?
See how she didn't answer that question?
Why about your position?
No, I just want to be me. I'm financially independent. I'm good. I just want to be me for the
Do you
first
know what
time.
me is, though, Lindy? That's the big question.
Yes,
You really know what me is?
I absolutely do. I'm conservative.
Because me went to vote for a Democrat on November the 5th, and me is now saying I've been a conservative all along.
Honestly, my vote for Bob Casey was out of friendship. I've known this guy for a long, long time. He's a fundamentally decent guy.
So you were friends with him, and that's why you support him politically? So you're just bi? Like, everything she's saying, it's so funny if you just think about it for 2 seconds. Like, okay, so you couldn't be what you politically wanted to be because of your chance of winning an election. So that's a grift. And now you voted for one guy because you were friends with him? Well, that just kind of sounds like, not plutocracy. Oh, fuck. When you have when it's all your friends and whatever, that you appoint to positions and shit. Fuck, what's the word I'm looking for? Nepotism, yeah. So you vote nepotistically? Is that it? If you're friends with them, you vote for them? This is retarded. Why? This is...
You were traduced by Barack Obama, you're obsessed with him, that's why you became a Democrat, and then you voted for Bob Casey because he's a mate. There's not much political conviction here, is there? It's basically whether
no, I actually think my decision not to vote was a huge act of conviction. It was rebellion. It was because Pennsylvania is extremely crucial. My decision not to vote was significant in itself.
That's certainly not pro-Trump MAGA. That's certainly not pro-Trump MAGA.
And to this day, I am not MAGA. I'm just conservative.
What?
Oh, there you go. So...
Wait, Lindy,
what?
Lindy, why in the world?
Democrat.
Did your friends? No, nobody's obsessed with you, but you raised this issue. Why in the world?
Did your friends tell you? I don't know what to tell you.
Did your friends put a gun to your head and tell you to raise money for the Democratic Party all these years? Did your friends say we're not going to be friends with you anymore?
This is my world.
This is just my world.
What's your world? It's the world that you made. It's the world that you made.
They did beg me to raise money. They came over. They
bet you had to? What was it, like a gangsters? Like, oh, we need to get the money. We need to get the money from Lindy. If Lindy doesn't raise money, who knows what'll happen to her? Like, what do we? Hello?
No, he pressured me. I'm
sorry.
I actually, frankly, enjoy
it. Trying to get in bed with you?
It's really fun. I'm good at it. I raise a lot of money. I have a lot of wealthy friends.
You raise a lot of money, Lindsay, for a party you say that you don't agree with. You're a conservative and always happy. So why would you aggressively raise money for a very left-wing Democratic Party?
Here's the first time I came on your show, I was still a Democrat, determined to reform the party. I soon realized that they're not open to reform. They don't want to change. They want to double down on identity politics. We had Jamie Harrison going out there 2 weeks after the election saying, we got to double down on
the one thing that distresses me the most about this is that you misled donors to support Vice President Harris, saying you were supporting her, and then you didn't vote for her. To me, that's the most troubling thing in the entire conversation.
Oh, no, wait, donors
That's like a scam, basically. You're out here telling all these people, if we assume everything you've said so far is true, or just the half about the conservative shit is true, you're literally telling people to not only vote for somebody, but you're trying to raise money to vote for a candidate that you didn't believe in or even vote for? Like, that's even worse. What the fuck?
The donors don't donate because of
donors.
Wait, she just about to say the donors don't donate because of me? I thought that was your whole job, was raising money. That was the whole thing you just said. You were in such an important position because you were getting people to donate. Wait, what?
To me, that's the most troubling thing in this entire conversation.
Oh, no, wait, the donors don't donate because of...
donors, give them... You're on the fundraising committee. You're raising money. You're going to people, give money to Vice President Harris. She's the best candidate. And comes election day, you don't even vote for her. You should apologize to the people who donated on behalf, listened to your plea and gave money. I'm serious. That's the only... This is not personal. That's the only part of this that troubles me.
My donors, they're my personal friends. They're proud of me.
My donors? What does that even mean? My donors? Like, did they donate to her personally to donate to the Democratic Party, or what?
We're standing up for them. We're standing up for them, asking for their money.
How did you, out of interest, how did you persuade your donors to give the money if you didn't tell them positive things about Kamala Harris? I'm really curious.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
I earnestly believed during the campaign that the Democratic Party would provide the most stable and most numerous opportunities for the American economy, because that's actually where the focus of my donors are. They work on Wall Street, they're business people, they work in finance, Silicon Valley. They just want a stable and prosperous economy. That's their number one priority. And given the facts at that time, I thought that's what Kamala Harris would offer.
Really?
Absolutely. I mean,
What
just
changed?
given the facts.
What changed?
That she lost? What changed after November 5th? What changed? Just that she lost?
As the campaign progressed,
Because
we realized
after
she
November
wouldn't
5th, you were
litigate the
telling
case at all. She spent a month hiding from the press and wouldn't do any interviews at all. She refused to distance herself from one of the most unpopular presidents in history. She just wasn't able to make
Did
the
you
case.
stand up and say that publicly?
I'm sorry?
Did you publicly stand up and say to your donors? Did you publicly
No,
go
I
on
would never,
TV and say,
I would
hey,
never
I was
publicly
wrong before
sabotage a
November 5th?
campaign like that. Absolutely not.
Why not? If you disagree with her, if you think that she was wrong and you
Because I
were
raised
already
those
defending
concerns
MAGA, why not
internally.
do what you
It
did
actually
afterwards?
could matter. And they just didn't listen.
Did you tell? All right, but did you tell the campaign that you were a secret conservative the whole time?
They know that I'm conservative. Everyone knows I'm a conservative Democrat. I went to the war. I went to war with Bernie.
Who did you tell
Use
that? Who did
if
you tell
use
that
this
to?
phrase-
Who did you tell that?
this phrase conservative.
I went to the what? War? What?
And they just didn't
Did
listen.
you tell? All right, but did you tell the campaign that you were a secret conservative the whole time?
They know that I'm conservative. Everyone knows I'm a conservative Democrat. I went to the war. I went to war with Bernie.
Who did you tell that? Who did
I went to war with Bernie. Oh, okay. That doesn't make you a conservative Democrat. That would just make you an ordinary Democrat because Bernie's significantly to the left of most of the party, but okay.
Did you use this phrase conservative Democrat? I've never heard of it before. What is a conservative
Can I
who's
show
also
you?
a
Do you want
Democrat?
to see? Do you want to see a paper trail of me saying that I'm a conservative Democrat over the years? Do you want to see
I
it?
don't even know what the phrase means. I mean, do you mean a moderate Democrat, or because a conservative is a Republican, right?
She can go to whoever wins. She can go to that side.
No,
True.
It means like we're the Democratic. It's like a Clinton Democrat, you know, someone who's very conservative on social issues.
But Clinton wasn't a conservative Democrat.
What?
He was a Democrat.
I think in today's standards, he's very much conservative.
I just think
Even Barack Obama. Remember Barack Obama? He was against gay marriage.
it sounds like, which given what you
I don't know if Barack Obama was against gay marriage. I think Barack Obama was against having a publicly positive position on gay marriage. Those are two very different things.
be saying about this issue, it sounds suspiciously like you want to be politically fluid, which is a very very
not
wokey
fluid.
thing to be doing,
Eric,
isn't it?
Eric Spolling, you're
True.
stuck with me now. I'm going to be like one of those.
I don't think I wouldn't put money on that. Anyway, look, we have spent 45 minutes discussing. We've got 15 minutes left. Why don't we just try and talk about what you were all?
I'm just trying to help you, Eric. So I don't know.
I'm going to say it's been a fascinating examination of somebody's.
Can you trade
conversion.
someone to the left? Can we get someone from your side? Can we pick someone like a draft choice for later? Could we've traded?
Did you hear that?
Can we get someone on our side?
around? There was a meme. Someone like we traded Lindy Lee for Laura Loomer. You guys can have Laura Loomer.
We don't want Laura Loomer. No,
wait. Time out,
We
time out.
want Laura Loomer. And Eric doesn't seem to want you.
Right. Was my cohort on the right supposed to be
Fortunately for
Lindy
me,
Lee?
Eric
Because
Spolling is not the gatekeeper.
All right, let me wrestle back the original purpose of booking you all, which is because it has been fascinating. I've got to say, from the moment you went with the Trojan horse off the top there, Eric, we were off and running. And actually, it's a very interesting debate because a lot of people, Lindy, as you know, have been debating your credentials and your credibility and stuff. I think we've got to the heart of a lot of this. You've now said how you voted. I think that in itself is very interesting, so people can make their own minds up. Let's just turn, Eric, to the big story right now, which is Ukraine, Vladimir Putin, Donald Trump.
And Anna was glazing her on this?
I believe you could be a Trojan horse. I believe that someone who spent the better part of the last election supporting Biden and Kamala Harris all of a sudden sees the light after Donald Trump wins an election. I mean, you're not that much different from Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos.
I know that I have a lot to prove, but give me a chance to prove that. Don't shut the door. I have a lot to offer, and you're not going to find a harder worker. I'm already working hard to make sure that we nail the midterms because this is absolutely pivotal. We can't go back to woke and the trans insanity. I am done with that.
Well, the woman that you just heard, conservative Eric Bolling, accused of being a Trojan horse for MAGA, is a former fundraiser for the Democratic Party. Her name is Lindy Lee. If you're politically engaged, you've probably seen her interviews on cable news and lots of other different shows. And after helping Joe Biden and later Kamala Harris raise millions of dollars for their campaigns, including Biden's re-election campaign, Lee went on to defect from the Democratic Party and support Donald Trump. Lindy Lee, it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. You guys, I've been watching you since I was out of college, so this is very surreal for me.
That's awesome. All right. Well, I wanted to kind of start off by kind of understanding how you kind of got to the place you're at right now. So let me start by kind of giving a little bit of the explanation you provided on Piers Morgan's show, and then I'll clarify what I'm asking you specifically. Let's take a look at why you soured on a portion of the Democratic Party back in 2016.
Ideologically, it's a massive, massive move to go from somebody who supports Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to somebody who supports Donald Trump.
I've always been on the conservative wing of the party, and there's a paper trail. 5 years ago, I went to war with the Bernie bros. That's how I emerged on the public scene. That's how I got my start. I, as a conservative, refused to vote for Bernie Sanders because he went against everything I believed in.
Okay, so you were against the Bernie wing of the Democratic Party, which I identify as like the economic populist wing of the Democratic Party. Wing is a little generous. I would say
Oh, even she is like creating a little bit of space here to be best friends with this wonderful person.
There's like maybe two people in the Democratic Party who identify that way. But you also soured on the economically or fiscally conservative but socially far left wing of the Democratic Party. Let's take a look at that.
When I first became a Democrat, it was actually pre-Obama. We believed in middle-class values, fiscal responsibility, like moderation. We didn't think that biological men should be in women's sports. That's a fairly recent development, I think. Like in the past 5 years, I'm not in favor of that. I think that's absolutely just lunacy. These are recent developments. The woke and the trans insanity, the DEI stuff, I didn't sign up for that. I just didn't, and I was terrified of vocalizing my opposition.
So who did you like in the Democratic Party? Because those are the two separate wings. And I'm curious if you might have just always identified as conservative, but wasn't really fully self-aware. What do you think?
First of all, thank you so much for asking questions with respect. Over the last couple of weeks, I've been kind of on the edge of my seat waiting to be attacked because of my views. Thank you so much for being gracious about it.
Oh my God.
As the years went on, I don't think I really like anyone. I most closely identify with my friend, Governor Josh Shapiro, but even he is to my left on several issues. I think it's weird because you and I have gone through similar experiences. On the Sean Ryan show, I talked about how I was assaulted just by standing outside. I mean, that's something that you've been through as well. And it didn't just happen once, it happened several times in a progressive run city. We have an extremely left-leaning DA who's funded by George Soros, and he doesn't prosecute minor crimes, and it results in unlivable streets. And this is the state of American cities today. I mean, this is just one of the many reasons why I decided to leave. It's been extremely hard. This is not easy. If I wanted an easy life, if I wanted peace, I wouldn't have done any of this. But it was necessary. I no longer fit into this party, into this cult.
Yeah, Lindy, I'm curious, as a conservative Democrat, why were you so animated by the Democrats in the first place? Why go through the significant effort of raising money for them?
This is just my entire life.
This is my
I grew up
life.
in the age of
It's
Obama.
my existence.
He was elected in
Obama.
2008. I was 17 years old, and I remember being just so ecstatic, so overjoyed that this would be the era of hope and change. And obviously, we were quickly disillusioned, but it was my most formative era. It was my default position. I grew up in suburban Pennsylvania, where the default was, moderation, conservative Democrats. And that's essentially what the collar counties of Pennsylvania are known for. It's a swing area. And I didn't really have a reason to question my entire belief system until the last couple of years. And this took me a long time to come here, but over the last couple of years, it didn't just happen suddenly, as people say. This has been a very gradual process, and it's also been deeply personal to me.
Okay.
And one thing that I've never said before is something that happened to me
Oh my God.
over the course of this past decade. I was put on birth control in 2018 because of health issues, and it completely upended my life.
How so?
I really never said this before, but it's really had such a traumatic and tremendous impact on my thinking. I feel like I wasted 5 years of my life because I was on birth control.
You know that this is the United States of America, right? Like, if a doctor prescribes you something, or if you get a prescription for something, a recommendation for something, and it's not working, you can stop, right? Like, there's not like the birth control police don't come by with a gun to your head and force you to take stuff that's not having a good impact on your body, right? Like, what? Hello?
And when I decided to come off it in May 2023, I felt like I reclaimed my life and realized that conservatives were right about birth control. It completely hijacks your hormones. It makes you extremely anxious. And I would just expect it to just take it without question. I tried to express my concerns to my doctor, but she was living in this liberal ideology where you could just medicate yourself to recovery. But now that
What is the, at least throw out some fucking bullshit for what? The liberal evil doctor wouldn't listen to you when you said you had issues with your birth control? They're like, no, you have to keep taking it. George Soros is going to stop funding our hospital if you don't continue to force feed this birth control. Take it.
I've been off it for 2 years. I feel like I'm a new woman. I finally have full control over my mind. And I'm finally free to be who I am without being shackled.
So, Lindy, I'm sympathetic to what you're saying. Look, I do not, my body does not respond well to, hormonal birth control, but that had nothing to do with my political identity, right? And where I stand on specific political issues. Now, I feel alienated from the Democratic Party because first of all, I don't even know what the Democratic Party at this moment represents. They sometimes run on these big, bold policies, never deliver.
True.
And for me, I am very much economically left-wing. I agree with you on some of the extremities of what's happened to the Democratic Party in recent years, but I actually view that as a symptom of the corporate cash flowing into these campaign coffers. And then you have this party that essentially is similar to the Republicans in wanting to pursue policies that are way more beneficial to corporate interests and the elite in this country. And so what do they campaign on, and what do they actually do when they're in power? They lean heavily into some of these social issues, and they get more and more extreme, every election cycle. And in the end, they went too far, and people kind of turned their backs on the party. And that's how I kind of view the situation. So when I look at the political landscape, I personally feel homeless because the Republican Party isn't really economically left, and the Democratic Party, I don't know what they stand for, but I know where I stand on the issues, and I'm trying to kind of figure out what your real political identity is outside of my personal experiences.
Sorry. If I were to boil it down, I would identify myself as a conservative environmentalist. I care deeply, deeply about the environment. It's like my reason for being almost. I'm a dedicated environmentalist and have been my entire life. It's my number one issue. I do want to say one thing though, having been on the inside, another reason why I had to leave was a deception on many different issues.
True.
I saw that they were lying about Biden's age. And when I did in 2022, that's when they first started really lying about it. Like gun-ho, aggressively lying about it. I leaked to the press that they were.
Wow.
And I did everything I could. But you would be ostracized. You would be destroyed if you dared to say that Biden had cognitive decline. They just would not allow you to say. You couldn't even question it internally. But that's all donors were talking about. All of us knew what was going on. It was like everyone has their close situation. And then we all had
Why
to
doesn't
pretend
Cenk
that Biden
care?
was some
This is the donor
this
class
demigod
right
who
here,
was
Cenk.
so magnanimous and couldn't do wrong. And then he leaves. And on the last day pardons his entire family. It's just so destructive to all of our institutions and undermines any arguments about Trump being corrupt when you can just point to Biden doing the same thing essentially. So I'm just sick and tired of the blatant hypocrisy, the excommunication tactics, the fact that you can't ask any questions. I tried to reform the party from within, but they wouldn't have it. They banned me. The first moment, like within a week of me asking questions, I was taken off all the lists. And at that time, I was just asking questions. I wasn't even criticizing, and they wouldn't even hear it. So it was just unbelievable that they were so quick to ostracize me just for raising questions after I raised millions for them, after I organized, after I gave everything I had to the party. But even over this past year, my mind was starting to change. I just didn't want anything to do with a lot of their policies.
Yeah, Lindy, I'm continue to be curious about the fundraising because it wouldn't have occurred to me to become a fundraiser at all for either party. So
here it comes.
How did that come about? Where did you raise the money from? Why did you go into that? Why'd you go in that direction?
First, I want to say once and for all that I wasn't paid a single dime. People say that I was a consultant or, I was just grifting off the Democratic Party. I'm a donor. I give. I raise money and I give. I do not take. I haven't been paid a single dime. I did get like care packages with like cookies and stuff. I guess if you count that as payment, then fine. I don't even eat cookies. I gave them away. But I was not paid to do this. I did this because I wanted to. They recruited me in 2022. They came over to my home, actually. It was pretty aggressive. And they asked me to, because I ran for Congress and I was able to raise a sizable sum then. So they saw that I had a record. They recruited me to be a part of the National Finance Committee. And you had to raise millions of dollars to qualify for that. And that became my world, like my friends. And I'm kind of introvert. They were just my entire world.
That's crazy.
They were the only friends I knew, essentially. It's actually kind of sad. And that I've had to rethink everything.
Yeah. So it sounds a little skull and bones. They tap you on the shoulder. Okay, we're going to ask you to raise.
Yeah, it's very one-on-one. And having been recruited, I've then recruited others. So it is very skull and bones. It's actually a great analogy. And so they recruit you, and then you recruit your friends, and it's kind of this pyramid scheme. Wow. And then the higher you go, the more access you have. And so I ended up raising millions.
Wait.
Pyramid scheme, but you just said you didn't get paid any money. Well, I guess in a pyramid scheme you do get scammed. But like, wait, they're for donations. How is it a pyramid scheme? What? He's like, wait, you got access? Oh, he's so excited now.
Lindy, that's super important. So look, obviously you run in a wealthy circle, right? Like if I went to go recruit money for my friends, I'd raise $50, $75, maybe a couple of them, right? And then God bless, et cetera. But so that's interesting that if we're being honest about it, in this wealthy class of folks, they're getting recruited for the Democratic Party, the Republican Party. That's like a common occurrence the rest of us are totally unaware of. So that's already interesting. But you said
it's normal to me, so I don't even realize it.
Yeah, that's so normal to you. For the rest of us, that's
okay. But tell us about
totally
the access. The access,
and it feels like there's a little bit of a Scientology kind of thing going on here, where you move up the ranks. So if you move up the ranks, what extra access do you get?
Yes.
I wish I could show. I actually have a PDF that details exactly what you get. For example, at the convention. What'd you say?
Can you send that to us? That PDF?
No.
Can I send it to you after and you can show it?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I don't know. It's somewhere in my emails. But let me just describe it now. At the convention, there were different gradations. Like if you were to raise 100,000, I think it was like, you get to go to an event with the president, like the bare minimum.
Oh my God. Okay, that's crazy. What else? Holy shit.
But if you raised 2 million, I think was the highest. You got like your VIP skybox. You got your own. You got your own lounge. You got to meet privately with Harris after her speech. They laid it out so carefully for you. And even at the time, I was like, isn't this like blatant pay to play? I even raised concerns. I was like, you don't want this floating around, do you? Because
pay to play is getting to shake hands with the nominee. That's pay to play. That's crazy, dog. Holy shit. Those were some wild handshakes.
Laid it out so clearly. It was like legalized bribery.
Yeah. Oh my God.
It was wrong at the time too. But I'm sure both parties do it. I don't think I haven't obviously seen the Republican. I wasn't part of the Republican convention, but I'm assuming they had something similar.
Yeah, Lindy, there's absolutely no question that both parties do it. Yes, 100%. They both do it. No question. That's partly why they're called the Uniparty. Which leads me to my last question. I'm genuinely curious about this too, Lindy. So why go all the way? Like, why not? Okay, like for example, I'm horrified by Democratic Party leadership. You say you'd get excommunicated, et cetera, if you challenge Biden's age and competence. I lived all that. I did it. You excommunicated in every possible way, et cetera. But that didn't make me like Trump anymore. So like, Biden's terrible, Harris was terrible, the corruption in the Democratic Party is terrible, but the corruption in the Republican Party is, at a minimum, just as terrible. So why go all the way to Trump and MAGA?
Oh, I like how he both sides did at a minimum. That's good job, Jenk. Oh my God, dude.
First, I didn't intend for any of this to happen. I was recruited by the Republican Party. I guess this is kind of like what we were saying before. Well,
what? So just like the same thing is happening to you again? Like, hello? What? Does this person just have no agency? She's just like a rich kid. By the way, when she talks about like a donor and money and all that, her parents are rich as fuck, just so you know, right? This woman has never done anything in her life to actually legitimately earn cash before. All of this is because she comes from a rich as fuck family, 1,000,000,000% guaranteed. But
well, they're smart. Can I just interject before you finish? Because I do want to hear what you have to say. But Republicans understand how to build power. And so while Democrats can't wait to purge you, Republicans are waiting to take you in. because they want to build coalitions and they want to win. And I think that's what happened in this last election cycle. So can you talk a little bit about how they recruited you? What do you mean by that?
It happened almost immediately. By the way, over the last couple of weeks, though, I've had to take a step back because the far right fringe of the Republican Party, honestly, it's been miserable. It's probably been the most difficult time of my life. And this past week, I was under so much stress, I was like spitting blood. So I'm not even sure. I'm in a very difficult place right now.
What?
And as you said, I'm kind of...
I was spitting blood? Wait, what is she?
It's probably been the most difficult time of my life. And this past week, I was under so much stress, I was like spitting blood.
Do you think that maybe whatever your health problem was, it probably wasn't the birth control then? What's happening? Or maybe she accidentally took a birth control pill and that's what happened.
So I'm not even sure. I'm in a very difficult place right now. And as you said, I'm kind of, I'm without a home. You know, on the one hand, I'm being attacked for leaving, but how do you stay in an abusive relationship? And then the family that I'm trying to join is abusing me too.
Well, Lindy, let me just give you a word of advice, because I'm obviously going through something very similar because I disagree with some of what's been going on with the Democratic Party.
Yep, that's the only reason, by the way. The only reason anybody is mad with Anna, and this is why all the hate she gets is so undeserved. It's just because she disagreed. That's it. She just had a couple of simple disagreements, and then boom. That's why everybody's mad at her right now. In case you didn't know that.
But I think what guides me is my own moral foundation, but also where I stand principally on the issues. And so if my principles guide me, I'm not going to be wooed by either political party. And so if for the time being I'm politically homeless, it does suck, but I'd rather be an independent voter and make decisions as the elections come rather than, you know, constantly declare my loyalty to the Democrats when time and time again, they've disappointed me at best or infuriated me with their corruption at worst.
Yeah, or the Republicans.
Yeah.
But Lindy, I just want to go back and let you finish. So how did they recruit you?
A number of people in the leadership reached out to me very graciously in a very human way that I never got from the Democrats. And I've been with the Democrats for 15 years.
Well, I like how 99% of fear mongering over like political shit is people just describing ordinary things and then people freaking the fuck out about them, right? Like they use like the craziest words. Like, you ended up working for software company X. What happened? They got me when I was young. Really? What do you mean they got you? Well, in our high school classes, towards the end of the year, they would send operatives to our schools. And what those operatives do is they would brainwash children. Brainwash? What would they do? Well, they would give these presentations, and even the teachers were in on it. They'd like take us to the auditorium, and we'd go around to see these like propaganda booths that they'd set up. And then they would talk to us about how great supposedly working for their companies were. And sometimes they'd even get kids to work for them for slave labor for free. They'd get them to work for a couple of months or over the summer where they would slave labor, churn and burn them. And it's like, are you just talking about a job fair? Are you just talking about like what the fuck are you talking about? Like, listen to what she just said. The way that she described this, they were recruiting me. They captured me. They recruited me. How did they do that? So a guy emailed me who liked what he saw from leadership. Oh. Okay, because earlier you guys were comparing this to like fucking Scientology. Sounds like you got an email from dude who's like, hey, I saw your shit. You seem pretty cool. Do you want to like jump on to our team? Like, there's literally nothing weird or crazy or abnormal. Like, that just sounds like an ordinary fucking thing. They just use the craziest words possible to explain it.
At best, or infuriated me with their corruption at worst.
Yeah, or the Republicans.
Yeah.
But Lindy, I just want to go back and let you finish. So how did they recruit you?
Yeah.
A number of people in the leadership reached out to me very graciously in a very human way that I never got from the Democrats. And I've been with the Democrats for 15 years. I never got them out of, it was just like, they understood, these are individuals, I don't want to, you know, put a target on their backs because they get harassed because of me, but they reached out to me because I did see that I was in pain. And
like, do you understand that you're describing a manipulative, like if we were to go by your way of describing it, you're describing a manipulative relationship, right? They saw that I was fighting with my side and they reached out and they understood my struggles and they offered to help me 180 my entire political belief system. By the way, I'm a person who's known for being able to raise large sums of money for politics. But anyway, they were so nice to me. It's like, yeah, no shit. This is like with the Tates when people are like, can you really hate Andrew Tate? Like, if you ever hang out with him, he just seems like the nicest dude in the world. Yeah, he's accused of being a scammer. No fucking shit, he's nice. That's like saying there's this really like scumbaggy car salesman, and when you meet him, he's the biggest asshole in the world. No, he's not. Because if he was, he wouldn't be a good scummy car salesman. He's probably a super nice guy. That's the whole fucking point.
It's been very hard. And I do want to say, I know exactly where I stand on issues. The problem is I'm right kind of dead in the center.
I think a lot of Americans are.
I'm sorry?
I think a lot of Americans are.
Right. So it's very difficult. And I'm in in Philadelphia where there's a 1 to 7 or 1 to 8 voter registration. No one talks to me anymore because they're just so, so shocked that I'm conservative. So, but again, it's just been very difficult.
Lindy,
I don't know what else to do really, other than to just keep telling the truth and just being who I am.
You also could just like get a job, or like, what did she graduate in? Like, you don't have to do any of, like, no one is forcing you to do politics. Like, why do you, like, can't you just like go live a normal life? Like, she's acting like her whole, I don't know, like she has like this 30, 40, 50 year career in whatever industry. And now she's like, I don't know what to do. Like, it's like, what is she, like 29? Like, you just like go do something else. no one is forcing you into any of this. She's acting like she's like a slave at like a fucking concentration camp. Like, just go do something else.
But it's just been very harrowing that people lie about me.
Oh, sorry, she's 35.
And it's hard to prove a counterfactual.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry.
Yeah, look, been there. So we know how you feel. People lie about us all the time. And then if you're trying to prove them wrong, they say, oh, you're being defensive. And it goes in loops, right? So, but I'm curious about the other thing that you said. How has the far right been terrible to you?
If I vocalize their lies, I give them more airtime, but I'm sure you can they say just these very despicable things about me that are entirely not true. And they will never forget some of them. Most of them have been amazing. I just want to say, but there's this fringe that just can never forgive me for being who I am. And they're upset that I'm getting airtime and they're not. They feel like I'm jumping the line. They even said so. This is not me extrapolating or imagining. They said this. They said, we've been MAGA this entire time, but why are you putting this person on air? And she's just been here for a little while. So they feel like I usurped their role. And I just want to say that I'm not here to take anything from anybody. We can all coexist. I don't want.
Who thinks that? What?
Job in the Trump administration. You couldn't pay me to work in the government. I'm okay with being who I am. I don't need to be on anyone's payroll. I just want to be myself.
Okay, so she doesn't even want to do a career in politics. She just said you can't even pay me to be in government. Then what are you doing, little sis? Why is she even out here? What, just like, if this is causing you great mental anguish and pain, like, just leave. No one is forcing you to do any of this or be here. What the fuck?
I care about the environment. I care about social conservative values. That's pretty much it. I care about our country. I would do anything for America. And so for these people to accuse me of being a traitor to our country, it's just so obscene. It blows my mind.
Lindy,
sometimes I'm just stunned. I'm just stunned that's happening.
Look, did it get racial? Again, it's not everybody. You're just those folks.
Yes, I can't even say it because it's just so horrible. And if I say, if you're, the political trope is if you're explaining, you're losing. And I don't, it's like the Streisand effect. I don't even want to repeat it. It's so bad.
Yep, I get it. So I want to come back to the final question that I had theoretically, was final back then, which is, but why then race for either side? Why not just say, hey, look, these MAGA guys aren't for me either, and the Democrats aren't for me, and I'm in no man's land, and I'll wait for someone that resonates with me, but I'm not going to go help MAGA because there's a lot of things I disagree with them on.
Well, I agree with them basically on almost every social issue, I think, except the environment. And right now, this is.
Can we walk through some of those issues, please? I want to hear what we're in alignment on without saying trans. Can we just say real quick, like, what are some social issues that you align with without saying trans?
Just something that I happen to be really good at and enjoy. It's just what I do. It's just very easy. I know people say that fundraising is very hard, but I happen to have a really, it's just very enjoyable. It's like a game. It's almost like gamification for me. I've been doing it for like a decade. I did it for my university before I entered politics. It's just something that I do. It's just like, it's just fun for me. I can
tell you're good at it, Lindy. I can tell you're good at it, and I don't begrudge you for enjoying.
You can tell she's good at it. How? She hasn't done anything. How can you tell she's good at it? What?
Something that you're good at doing. I would say though that it's likely that you're feeling what you're feeling right now and being politically homeless because of how much that money has destroyed our political system and incentivized our politicians on both sides of the.
She's the money though. You're talking to the money. That's her. She's the money. Talk to her about her rich parents, about her dad that made hundreds of jobs, and talk to her about her money. This is the donor class. You can talk to them right now. Say something.
Political aisle to basically F us day in and day out on behalf of their corporate donors. So I think there are other areas where you can fundraise and excel at it, and it would actually do good. I just don't think it's helpful in the political realm, but that's just me. But
I do want to say one thing. My donors are not corporate. These are like everyday Americans in a variety of industries. They're not from corporations.
What are they? They're everyday donors from a variety of industries, but they're not in corporations. What, are they just all employees? None of them are business owners? None of them are, or do you just not call a business owner part of a corporation? Or does a corporation be a certain size? Or what are we talking about? Yeah, I thought earlier she said they all work like in tech and Wall Street and everything else. Like,
and I want to say, I agree with you, but one party cannot unilaterally disarm. Both have to at the same time. So until both parties reform at the same time, until we do something about Citizens United, it doesn't make sense for one party to say, okay, we're not going to do this anymore, But yeah, both parties it's just, especially with the advent of super PACs, just been insane. I've had people give tens of millions to, PACs like Future Forward and whatnot.
So they're not wealthy.
They're not wealthy donors. They're like, these two are trying so hard to milk. Cenk just wants the dirt on the donor class, and Anasi's like a traveling fellow who is also why I left the lefting right now. But they're like, everything she's saying is so fucking stupid.
Tens of millions to, you know, PACs like Future Forward and whatnot.
So they're not wealthy.
No, they're wealthy.
Yes, but I don't mean they're not corporate. You know, a lot of them, it doesn't, they could be any, like I had someone who owns a vineyard. They're not necessarily corporations.
Got it.
It could be anything. Some of them are immigrants who had someone who owns a vineyard. They're
wealthy.
Yes, but I don't mean they're not corporate. You know, a lot of them, it doesn't, they could be any, like I had someone who owns a vineyard. They're not necessarily corporations.
Got it.
It could be anything. Some of them are immigrants who worked hard all their lives to get here, but they're not. I don't mean they're not part of like huge conglomerates or anything. At least my donors are not. I can't.
Huge conglomerate. Oh, so now we went from corporate to huge conglomerates. What do we even? How many? What's the size of this vineyard? What are we talking about?
Speak to like everybody,
Yeah.
but
Oh my
Okay.
god.
Yeah, I understand. All right, look, really interesting perspective. Hang in there.
I'll send you the graph that I talked about. I'll send it to your producer. It lays it out. You'll be stunned to see what incentive.
My face when that graph is like a publicly available thing that you can just look up for donation awards or whatever.
I think it's really very eye-opening.
Thank you, Lindy.
All right, Lindy Lee, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets a swings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.
So what? Yeah, wealthy donor now means you own a vineyard? Come on, guys. Or it means no vineyards?